Hello, and welcome to Rocket Fuel, your daily update of everything that's happening in the Rocket Pool community. My name is Wack. Today is January 22nd, and today's episode we're going to talk about Liquity V2 coming tomorrow. We're going to talk about Onchain governance in Rocket Pool. We're going to be talking about the Obol list and clarification about their airdrop news from yesterday. On the Ethereum side, we're going to talk about client update and gas stuff. And we're going to be talking about a whole lot more as well, especially things like Tornado Cash and Ethereum Foundation and so much more. So let's get started.
10, 9, ignition sequence start, 6.
Okay, so we're going to start here with this news of Liquity V2. Now, I've been mentioning Liquity V2 on Rocket Fuel a whole lot recently, and they're launching tomorrow. Now, you might be like, hey, Wack, why are you talking about Liquity V2 so much? Well, Liquity, I love Liquity because I feel like it's one of those like projects in crypto that is like the most Ethereum aligned. They've got all those attributes that you really want to see in the protocol. And now with their version 2, they're having Rocket Pool's RETH from the beginning. And because their contracts are immutable, the only assets they will have are ETH, Rocket Pool's RETH, and Lido's wrapped ST-ETH. So because of that reason, it's showing huge alignment with Rocket Pool. So that's why I've been talking about this so much. Liquity as a product, I've used LUSD many times. I love using LUSD. And now they're going to have a new token called Bold. So if you are going to use your RETH to mint some Bold, they're putting incentives in place for you to use that on Curve Finance. So their Liquity here, there's an announcement from Sam saying that they're going to put $75,000 of liquidity incentives for 2 weeks to two pools that are starting on Curve. One of those will be Bold with USDC, so stablecoin pair, and another will be Bold with LUSD. And that, of course, is a stablecoin pair as well. And then this is not to mention any of the 15 plus friendly forks that will offer their own rewards and incentives if you want to get in on those. And this is the early Bold catches the worm. So one thing to note as well here is that the protocols that are launching with Liquity V2, there's a chance that they'll have airdrops and things like that as well. So there's a chance here that you can make this quite profitable for yourself if you're interested in that. And if you want details on how Liquity works, then check out my takeoff into DeFi episode that I did with Sam on Thursday last week. And he kind of like walks you through how to do it. You can use it, to take a loan against your RETH. You can also use it to go long on RETH as well. They've got the mechanism built into their front end there. So this is really awesome stuff. Thank you for sharing that, Sam. Okay, moving on to some Rocket Pool news now. Here we have a new text update from Lido about the on-chain voting and what it might look like. So he's got some draft text that he's kind of throwing around. So an RPIP basically. So the abstract here is that this proposal aims to define initial quorum values for the Rocket Pool protocol DAO ahead of its first on-chain vote. And this RPIP 33 introduced a standard vote quorum analogous to the pre-existing snapshot quorum. Moreover, it added a veto quorum, which if met allows for penalization of the vote's proposer. Both of these parameters are set to values that allow for effective and secure governance. So this was basically saying what those values should be set for. So quorum, the proposal quorum should be set to 15%, and the veto quorum should be set to 20%. And then there's a rationale there as well. So we'll actually look at this more closely in detail once the vote goes live. But here, Waldorf then had some ideas of what it might look like, and he says, looking at a governance attack angle, it looks like the best attack uses equal parts ETH and RPL. That's something else. So you can read that text and like dig into it and see, but it looks like this is going to happen very soon. So get ready, we'll be going to vote soon, and this should be quite exciting. Okay, I put a comment in trading today and I tagged Fornax, and Fornax is the team's main smart node developer, and I tagged Fornax quoting this tweet from Nixo, and let's actually go and have a look at the tweet and then we'll come back and see what I said to Fornax. So with Nixo was quoting Anthony Cesano saying, "No more missed nice guys about the gas limit increase from me. It's time to publicly call out the largest providers to increase their gas limit to at least 36 million. So he then tags Binance, Stakefish, Bitcoin Suisse, and Kraken, and a whole bunch of others as well there that, you know, have a sizable stake, but they haven't signaled their gas limit increase. And Nixo shares then quoted that and saying, the data has shown that it's safe and we're only at 34% signaling. We need 16% more for it to count. If the team that's managing your stake hasn't moved their gas limit up, they're either not paying attention or the engineering team needs some motivation. Ask your provider. So I took Nixo's message to heart. So I went and asked my provider. So I said, hey, Fornax, maybe it's time to put gas at 36 million in the next smart node update. And Fornax replied pretty much right away, which is really awesome, saying that we would need to overwrite what users have right now. I'd be okay with that and then explain it on the release announcement if anyone wants to change from the default. And he says, what do you think, Patches? Patches, of course, has been working with the smart node stuff for the last few months. Patches says long term we need a way to differentiate user configured from default in the YAML file. He says ideally we use nilness, but Golang makes that slightly too painful. And Fornax has just set it to 0. And Patches says if the user sets a value to 0, how do we know? He says pro to buff, I guess that's some coding thing. He says would make this easier. Maybe we just bite the bullet. And Felix says, I don't think anyone would intentionally set a 0 gas limit. That would signal the default, of course, until we have better options. And then Patches says, sure, just means general case. Short term, I think we migrate to finding a new string. Actually, I don't know. And then there was back and forth with some technical stuff. But Fornax said doing nothing will make Whack angry, and he said that's true, but also Nixo. And then Nixo replied with a Pepe mad emoji and that. So hopefully the team will make something official in the smart node of moving up to 36 million. I think there's a new smart node version brewing, so hopefully that will include the update in there. But in the meantime, you can go to your smart node config files and change your gas limit manually, and do that automatically, do that now manually if you haven't already done so. Okay, we talked about the Obol airdrop in yesterday's episode, and one of the things that we mentioned was that some people got tokens. I was using Evan as an example, and Evan got somewhere around 13,000 tokens as he shared yesterday. The sad reality is that we're not all getting that many tokens, and Evan's been involved in 2 testnet validators that's been running for over a year now, so he's been around for a while, and I think that's an exceptional case. So he got a nice allocation from that. It looks like Rocket Pool node operators are getting 269 tokens, I think, per validator that's been running. So if that counts for you, then you should be able to find out how much you've gotten. But Evan here gave a list of the addresses that we used for eligibility without having to sign anything. However, to claim or find out how much you actually got and to claim your rewards, you will need to sign transactions. But there's a GitHub link here that you can go and check out and see what you got. And there was an update from Cody here, I guess, who works with Obol as well, saying, hey, Whack and friends, Obol announced today that the airdrop will include Rocket Pool node operators. We used a StakeCat's list, but tagged the node address instead of the withdrawal address, which in my opinion is a big mistake. He says we're in the middle of making the change to the withdrawal address. Claiming goes live on Friday, and we will have it worked out before then. So basically what happens is, if you check the list right now, you'll see, I don't know if it's fixed yet or not. It should be fixed before Friday, but you'll have to check your withdrawal address and your node address to make sure that you've got the airdrop. But when it comes to claiming it on Friday, you'll just be using your withdrawal address to check that and working out that way. And I said to Lawton that I've already commented on it, but I'll comment on it again. He says I'll update in here once we get the withdrawal address pushed. So that actually hasn't happened yet, but this is really cool that they're doing this. So thanks for the airdrop, guys. Okay, let's move on to some staking news now. And in staking news, we have this update from Teku, and they have updated to version 25.1.0. Before we continue, there's some breaking changes, so definitely keep that in mind. But here it says this is an optional upgrade containing upgrades to metrics and other improvements. So, you don't have to upgrade to this version. Like they're saying, it's an optional upgrade. There's nothing dependent on this. However, this does introduce breaking changes. So here there's a couple of command line interface options that have been replaced, and it says with the upgrade of Prometheus Java metrics library, the following changes. So then there's some changes there as well. So this was actually noticed in the Rocket Pool community, and here we had Dago Duck saying, I don't know if you've seen the new Teku version patches. There's one breaking change that's probably relevant for Rocket Pool, and here it's a breaking change to something or the gas limit. Sorry, so default gas limit. It says interesting versioning going from 24.12.1 to 25.1. So that's just their thing. But then we had a reply here from Phonax saying that I've updated the smart node and the start script. Appreciate you sharing this. So this is something to keep in mind if you are on Teku, and if you want to upgrade, it might be worth just holding off for a few minutes there. Okay, in other staking news, Rocket Pool community were quite upset yesterday. Maybe a bit of cope there as well. But what happened is World Liberty Financial, Donald Trump's DeFi protocol that is, an instance of friendly fork of Aave, staked more of their ETH. And again, they did it with Lido. So they have, they have $200 million worth of ETH overall, and they have staked nearly 10,000 ETH of that now with Lido, which is quite disappointing that they've done that. I was really hoping it would be Rocket Pool, but so far there's been no news on them staking with Rocket Pool. Hopefully we will get some news on that soon. Okay, moving on to some Ethereum news now. And here on the Ethereum side, we had a huge decision coming out on the Fifth Circuit courts in the US. And this was in a case that was brought against the US government, specifically the OFAC people. And this was brought by, a bunch of crypto people saying that basically the OFAC sanctions against Tornado Cash were not right. We had a decision about this, but now the court has lifted the OFAC sanctions on Tornado Cash, marking a major win for crypto privacy advocates. So this is absolutely wonderful, and it's in line with the previous rulings that we've had about code being speech and how you can't restrict speech basically. And now it looks like, the Fifth Circuit has agreed with this. I don't know the full details of this. I know that some people are saying that, using Tornado Cash now is okay. However, if you want to be cautious, it might make sense to just hold off a little bit before you start using Tornado Cash. But this is actually a huge win for crypto, for Ethereum specifically, because when this came through, it really did set some existential questions for Ethereum into motion. However, one of the things that happened because of it is that, Ethereum, we as a whole, have pushed so far forward on things like forced inclusions and other things like that, that can kind of basically get around this. And, we still had many of our block builders and the validators, continuing to process transactions, that were technically should have been censored by US law, but that never happened. So Ethereum, had this huge existential threat, and I think Ethereum responded absolutely brilliantly to that. And that we carry on going, and now hopefully soon, or now, you can start using Tornado Cash again. Okay, there's been some drama in Ethereum, and if you watched yesterday's episode, I kind of gave you a little bit of an update on that, and it looks like that drama is now surfacing with a second Ethereum foundation, and this is a new Twitter account that is just called Second Foundation with @second_foundation_, and it just says hello world computer. This is obviously mirroring the tweet that we got from the Ethereum Foundation last week with the ethereum.org Twitter account. And here people have etc says I have an idea for a third foundation, but it looks like this idea has kind of been brewing for a little while. And here, one of the co-founders of Lido, Konstantin Lomashuk, said, this was in December 9th, saying, should we fund a second foundation for Ethereum? People like Ryan Sean Adams replied by saying, I'd love to do ETH is Money Guild, focusing on education around ETH the asset, would be of interest to the second foundation. The first foundation won't touch this. And then he says, I'll follow up with more detailed reply, but in the meantime, more active education marketing will definitely be part of the second foundation. Anthony Sassano back then asked to do what? And there wasn't a reply to that at the time, but this was ideas that were kind of bubbling already. So people, when the second foundation came up today, people here thought it was Constantine who had done this. However, it looks like that might not be the case. Cointelegraph ran with the idea that it was Constantine who started the second foundation, but here Josh Rudolph says that it's not Constantine, and Josh, of course, works as R&D for the Ethereum Foundation right now. So I'm not sure what is happening there, who's setting this up, or what their scope or powers are going to be. But of course, like I always say, Ethereum is a permissionless protocol. Anyone can make a foundation to try to influence the direction that Ethereum goes in. You just gotta have money. For making these kind of foundations to operate at that kind of scale are quite expensive. As we know, the Ethereum Foundation spends $100 million a year. And a second foundation will be expensive as well. But hey, a lot of people in crypto have really big bags, and if they put their pennies together, they could get a decent runway of funding, maybe for a few years worth of work, if they're lean and if they're tight. So I'm curious to see what's going to come out of this. I'm not against the idea of a second foundation. More foundations, the better. Hopefully, we can all kind of work towards the same kind of goals. Instead of stepping on each other's toes, we can kind of specialize in different domains, so we can all still pull in the same direction together, but maybe not cause frictions. But let's see what happens. Okay, we've got with the new administration now, we've got some new tidbits of information that are coming through. And this is actually really big news that was shared by Zach Guzman, and says this is a big one, potentially why the Ethereum Foundation recently made their staking moves. And here, this was an interview with Hester Pierce, who is currently the acting chair of the SEC. And Hester Pierce is saying that staking ETFs are going to be coming early on in the new SEC's tenure. I talked about this in Rocket Fuel recently about how adding staking will not require brand new ETFs and brand new process. It will just require adding that paragraph that a lot of the issuers removed in the initial approval, all that time ago. They'll just put that paragraph back in there saying about how they're going to stake the assets, and then that will go back to the SEC, and the SEC will then vote on that, and it should be a rubber stamp vote basically and go straight through. So I think that's what here Hester Pierce is alluding to as well. It looks like the people, the ETF providers who will add staking to their ETH ETFs, it looks like they will do it in-house most likely. I'm really looking forward to seeing an ETF that comes on with LSTs and using RETH in their ETF. That would be really, really exciting for me. Okay, and some more Ethereum news here. Evan, who I mentioned earlier, is actually going to be doing a Twitter space with M-Team. M-Team is Matthew, who is the founder of Spire, and they want to be L2 on Ethereum, and they want to be native and based. So native means that the way the code works on that L2 will be identical to the way the code works on mainnet, and based means that they will be using the sequences of layer 1 to do their to do their sequencing. So they'll use the validator, of layer 1 to do their sequencing. And then the third thing they'll do is be using Ethereum DA. So they'll be like maximally aligned L2. Now, this idea of native rollups, alongside base rollups is getting some traction. Justin Drake has talked about this in Bankless recently. Vitalik's been talking about this as well, and other people are kind of getting aboard the native rollup train. Now, MTeam is doing a Twitter space on Friday, so if you are interested in listening to this, Evan will be hosting Matthew for that. And Matthew's like really young, I think he's 17 or 18, but the guy is an absolute genius when it comes to Ethereum research and work. So definitely give that a listen. I think it's going to be a really good one. Okay, there's just a lot of news coming out. Here we have a tweet. So this is in some other news, I guess. Here we have a tweet from Cointelegraph again, sharing a clip of a video with Jeremy Allaire, who is the CEO of Circle. That's the company that issues USDC, and he said that he expects a repeal of SAB 121 through executive orders. So that means that banks will be able to hold crypto assets on their balance sheets and hold them in custody for their clients, which is currently not allowed under the SAB 121 rules. This is the piece of rulemaking that Congress tried to vote down, but Biden vetoed during the last few months, I think 4 or 5 months ago, and now Ilaria is here talking about how Donald Trump is going to sign an executive order to repeal that rulemaking procedure that the SEC, I believe, put in place. That's going to go away now. So this is actually quite bullish for crypto, in that banks will now be able to hold crypto for their customers, and I think on their own balance sheets as well. So I know it's for their customers, it's not for their own balance sheets. So they'll be able to custody crypto basically for their customers, which is hugely bullish. And finally, we're going to end today's episode with something out of the Rocket Pool community that was kind of funny. So we had a poap a few weeks ago or months ago that was a trip down memory lane. So a lot of people shared their favorite memories of their time in the Rocket Pool community. And in that process, there was a hidden message that Dr. Doofus put into the poap. And nobody really figured out what the hidden message was. So Dr. Doofus says, I was so disappointed no one found my poap's hidden message. And LFO was like, what poap? And he said this one, which was the history one. So he says the message is revealed when you turn the poap upside down. I don't know how good this is for like the audience here, but basically in the black letters it spells out these nuts, which is one of the hidden messages. But there was actually more as well, where the Stake Man, we've got the image of Stake Man wearing the Rocket Pool hoodie. Actually, it looks like he says when you turn it upside down, you see the black letter spell a phrase that matches the image, these nuts. So the heart becomes the nuts of Stake Man, and then there's also a star. And I don't want to describe that for you all. You can hear Dr. Doofus describing it himself, but but it was absolutely genius. So yeah, congratulations, Dr. Doofus, for lowering the standards once again in the most hilarious way. But on that note, I'm going to end today's episode. There was a lot to cover, but we did it quite quickly, so that's awesome. But thanks all for watching, listening, and being part of the Rocket Fuel community. I'll be back again tomorrow with a new episode for you all. And until then, you can go and explore that poap's hidden meaning some more. So see you then. Bye.